Welcome back, Tactics. I'm going to go over the lures again tonight. I didn't cover everything I wanted to last night. And one of the things I want to go over was, and I've showed you all these before, but I'm going to touch back on it. This is a Rapala top water plug. And you see I've got this fly tied on it, and it has the eyeball on there. It originally had a treble hook and just, I think, white and red letters, white and red feathers, and they didn't hold up at all. I caught 3 or 4 or 5 fish on it, and they were gone. So when I started switching over these inline hooks, I started putting my own flies on there. But instead of just doing the fly, I started taking, and here's a bunch of them I've been working on. I have the eyeballs on them. And ever since I've been doing that, it might be psychological, but it seems like I've been catching more fish. And if you notice the little reflective stuff there, that's Flashaboo. That stuff really seems to trickle it down. And you only want to put a few pieces of that in there. You don't want to overload it. And here we have some of the lures that I've changed out, put the eyes on. I'm going to set this down where I can pull up one at a time. And I showed you all this before too. These Rapala X wraps come with little wings on the side. I don't have any here because, yes, I do. Here we go. There's one right here. See the little wings that are right here on the side, on the end? I've taken and ground mine down with a Dremel tool and removed them. And the reason I did that, it seems like the lure, when you're working it, if you have, especially when you have a new one, when you turn it, see that little flash, a little reflection like in my light. Well, that same thing happens underwater. And it seems like I don't know, just like a flashing light, it attracts them better. And the same thing with that eyeball. See that eyeball, how it kind of attracts attention? I believe that does make a difference. And ever since I've been doing these inline hooks and putting this on, I've had a real good success with it. And maybe that's one of the reasons Paul Brown's, which I've showed you before, puts that big old bug eye on there. And these slicks that I showed you last night, same thing, big eyes. So I started making these, and then my buddy's saying, "Hey, can you tie me one? Can you tie me one?" Well, these things, just don't tie them in 2 seconds. I'm not a professional fly tyer, but by the time, and this is one I did this one last night, and this is a 2-aught inline hook, which I'm gonna end up putting it on my larger plugs like this. And I don't have any other bigger X wraps. Oh, here it is. Here's an X wrap here, and this is a larger one, and I'm gonna be putting this bigger eye versus that smaller eye you see there on this larger bait, a little larger profile. See, this is a larger profile here, but it has a smaller eye. I think I'm gonna start going and putting the bigger eyes on there just for attraction. Another thing about these flies, you see fish caught on small flies a lot. Well, my buddy John Allen was telling me one time, I've heard it down in Florida. There was a doctor down there by the name of Dr. Mink, and he used to take a, what do you call it, a Rapala. It wasn't a Rapala. The ones with the 2 blades, devil's horse. He'd take the devil's horse with the 2 blades, one front and back, and he wouldn't have any, he'd have treble hooks on it, but on the back, he'd have about a 2 or 3 foot leader, and he'd put a fly on it, and he'd just rip it through the water and make those blades spin. Kind of like today, like you walk the dog. Well, back when I understand he used to do it, they didn't have the lures where you walk the dog, so to speak. So one day I decided to take one of these top water plugs, and this is Zorro Spook here, which is a very popular one. And on the back, I tied about a 2 or 3 foot leader. And at that time I had treble hooks, and I was out fishing with my buddy Melvin Bowden, and we were throwing top water late one afternoon. I said, well, I'm gonna try this. And I started throwing it, and fish were coming up, and I was getting bites on the fly, and not on the actual plug itself. And one time I had a red come up behind it, and I could see him coming up to it. And I kept working it, kept working it. You don't ever want to stop it on a red. And all of a sudden he backed off. And I kept working. I said to myself, damn, he's not going to hit it. And then my plug started backing down in the water. The red went after the fly. Well, I caught 2 or 3 trout, caught a red. Next thing I know, I catch a ladyfish. And this ladyfish, and I said to myself, you know, you need to net this thing because he could break this line or snap this thin leader I had. Sure enough, I didn't do it. I reeled the fish close to the boat. You know how ladyfish will just go crazy, jumping and trying to sling the hook and all. All of a sudden, snap, broke off my leader, and I didn't have any more flies. This is one my buddy John had given to me, and I just thought I'd try it. Just a fluke afternoon. Melvin looked at me and said, he said, you got another one of those? I said, no, Melvin, I don't. He said, good, because we're even. Because he wasn't catching any at the time on the plug by itself. They were hitting that darn fly at the end. So I can't remember. Let's see. I had some nostalgia stuff for you laid out tonight. It wasn't odd to have 2 or 3 best friends and spinning around, getting dizzy, and falling down was cause for giggles. And the worst embarrassment was being picked last for a team. Kind of reminds me of the commercial they have out now with the basketball, picking the basketball player. The little kid kind of rolls his eyeballs at the end over gosh, I can't remember who the basketball player was now, played for Auburn. But anyway, I don't think that's going to round it up tonight. I don't see anything else here on the desk I want to go over other than I'll keep you posted if we start to have a little bit of time and tie up these flies and y'all take a hit at it. I haven't seen any of these online. If y'all seen any online, please let me know. I like to check them out and see how well they made and maybe purchase a couple. I haven't seen any inlines. I've seen them on treble hooks, but not on inlines. So I think that's about going to wind it up for this evening. Don't forget to, give us a thumbs up and hit the bell and subscribe and check out our website and influencer page and give us a few answers. A few questions so I can answer them and comments. And we'll see you again tomorrow evening. Thanks again. Don't forget, take a kid fishing and you can't catch them on the couch.